How are we going to compete in this new modern age? We get asked this question a lot, and people ask me, how do you predict a future trend? How do we know what's coming? There are all sorts of ways you can do this. You can survey your customers, you can read all the analyst reports, you can go to any number of trade shows and conventions, look at what people are selling, and then just take the next logical step. Or you can follow my foolproof method that will predict the future with 100% accuracy every single time. You know what the secret is? All you have to do is just look at your kids. Does anybody out there have one of these at home? Sitting on the couch, glued to that tiny little colored screen nonstop? It's frustrating, it's infuriating, and you know what? It's also your future field service workers in training. Now, before we do something rash, like unplug the Wi-Fi, let's take a quick look at these kids and try to figure out what lessons they can teach us about the future. First, let's take a look at what's in their hand. The smartphone. This is an amazing device that every child in the US is trained to use and to get the maximum productivity out of. If you don't believe the smartphone is the future of the field service industry, let's look at the adoption of iPods followed by the iPhone. It took a while for everybody to get an iPod. There was a lot of competitors out there, a lot of people were still sticking with the CDs, but then one day it just seemed like everybody had one and digital music was the way to go. But then we introduced the iPhone, and it seemed like overnight everybody I knew had an iPhone. And then the iPad came along. Look at the adoption of the iPad. I heard there was a shortage of these things when they first announced they're coming to market, and yet I flew on a plane from San Francisco to Cleveland the next day, and every row had an iPad going. So if you're a technology company like us here at TOA, where are you going to develop your new field service solution? Are you going to develop for the iPad, the iPhone? Well, before you answer that question, let me show you something else. This is the adoption curve of Android. Android is blowing away the adoption of iPhone and iPads out of the water. So I'll ask you the question again. If you were a technology company like TOA, would you be developing for Android instead of iPhone? You might be asking yourself, if I'm buying a field service solution, which one should I use? Should I be betting on the next release of Apple? Should I be betting on the next release of Android? The truth is, I don't want you to choose any of them. Your field service solution is going to be completely independent of these adoption trends because you are all going to be bringing your own device. BYOD, bring your own device. One of the hottest buzzwords in IT, and it is very, very much a reality. How do you do bring your own device? Simple. All of your applications are going to be delivered through a device-agnostic HTML5 driven browser-enabled application. And this is what's going to power the entire revolution. Now, a lot of people don't like the concept of bring your own device. They're worried about the management. They're skeptical of the cost savings. But the truth is, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Let's look at some facts here. Forrester Research is estimating that 21 million office workers are using their own smartphone for work. 11 million are buying their own laptops, and 3 million bought their own tablets. Walk around your office and see how many people are using iPads. Did the company pay for that iPad, or did that come from home? Second, you're going to discover that people are using different devices for different things. I use an iMac, a PC, an iPad, and 2 iPhones. And I use them for different tasks, for different applications, and my choice of which one I use is really my personal preference for how productive that device is going to make me for specific tasks. And I am not alone. Forrester estimates that over 50% of today's workers are using more than one device to get their work done, and it's usually one that they brought from home. Bring your own device. BYOD. The idea here is not to combat this phenomenon. It's to harness this, to realize that, hey, my workers are more productive when they use a device that they're familiar with and that they're trained on and that they can get the most out of. BYOD is not optional. The faster we adopt bring your own device, the faster we're going to get the productivity increases we want from our workers because they're using something they're comfortable with.